What's up, guys? I hope you're ready for some more mildly entertaining YouTube content today, this wonderful Saturday afternoon, because I found a couple minutes of a webinar from ARK Invest where they talk about Nano Dimension. This just happened a couple days ago, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I feel like I'm doing something weird with my hands here. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to talk about ARK Invest. They just had a webinar the other day, their monthly webinar. I am amazed by this company every single month. The information that they share, the open source nature that they have is absolutely amazing. If you're not familiar with their webinars, they do a webinar every single month. Kathy Wood comes out on YouTube and she does videos pretty much every single month. These people are absolutely amazing. And during their webinars, they do a question and answer section, and that like half of their 1 hour webinar usually takes up the question and answer section. And one of the big questions was about Nano Dimension. And Tasha Keeney, if you aren't familiar with her, she's one of ARK Invest's analysts, and she talks a lot about Tesla. She's probably the big Tesla analyst. She talks about autonomous technology a lot, robo-taxis, robotics in general, things like that. She's probably the main analyst on the ARK Q fund. The ARK Q fund is the ARK Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. That is the ETF that Nano Dimension is a part of, and we'll look at where they're at. They got bumped up a place, which is nice, probably because the price went up the other day. But the ARK Q ETF is companies within ARK Autonomous Technologies and Robotics ETF, ARK Q, are focused on and are expected to substantially benefit from the development of new products or services, technological improvements and advancements in scientific research related to, among other things, energy, automation and manufacturing, materials and transportation. These companies may develop, produce, or enable autonomous transportation, robotics and automation, 3D printing, energy storage, and space exploration. ARK Q is an actively managed ETF that seeks long-term growth of capital by investing under normal circumstances, primarily at least 80% of its assets in domestic and foreign equity securities of autonomous technology and robotics companies that are relevant to the fund's investment theme of disruptive innovation. So that's ARK Q in a nutshell, okay? And the ARK Q fund, again, Nano Dimension got bumped up a spot, I think because it jumped up to, 714, but they still have the same number of shares. They didn't have to do any rebalancing, but it did jump up over that 2% mark just recently for just over a $29 million investment here in Nano Dimension. You're probably here for the webinar, okay? So Tasha Keeney is going to get a question from the guy who runs the webinars, Tom, and he's going to ask. It sounds like there was a bunch of questions about Nano Dimension, so we're not the only ones that are excited about Nano Dimension, but she talks about some cool stuff. I'll stop in the middle and add some commentary as we need to, but I'm excited to share this with you guys. So let's jump right over to the presentation here.
Through the questions, a lot of questions on Nano Dimension. And it has popped up with a few offerings recently. Is that indicative of the 3D printing space as Desktop Metals is coming public versus a SPAC, or is there anything particular to Nano Dimension that you're keeping an eye on?
Thanks, Tom. For Nano Dimension, I would actually say that it's really in a unique space compared to other 3D printing names. So for those of you that are not familiar, Nano Dimension makes 3D printed multi-layer circuit boards, so 3D printed PCB. And it's really the only company that's been able to 3D print multi-layer PCB.
So that's the first point I want to make, right? They see Nano Dimension as the unicorn in their space, right? That no one else is doing this. She says right there, they've been the only one that have been able to print these multi-layer circuit boards. I mean, straight from ARK Invest, okay? ARK Invest is excited about this technology. That's the reason they're invested, and that's the reason that NNDM is not in their ARK, their 3D printing ETF. It's in their autonomous robotics and technology ETF. This is a big deal. Let's continue with what Tasha's saying.
Successfully so far. So it's used in, of course, prototyping, But they've also, in recent years, gotten some requests from customers to use it for potentially for low volume production runs. So compared to the other 3D printing companies and the machines that they make for parts, I would really put this in its own category.
So in a second, she's going to talk about the direct offerings, but I want to cover that point real quick. So they have requests from their customers to be able to do production runs and low volume production runs. So nothing in some sort of mass scale, but to be able to print these, lab on a chips or these PCBs, whatever they want to print in these low production runs. And that's why, and she's going to talk about it in a second, they have the lights out manufacturing, but she's going to cover the offerings here in a second. But this is a technology that the companies are saying, look, we need to be able to do some production run stuff as well, and that's something that Nano Dimension is working on as well. But let's have her talk about the direct offerings here.
You're right that Nano Dimension has done a number of offerings this year. The company has a new CEO. So the founder stayed with the company, but leading the company is a new CEO who's concentrated on reconstructing the go-to-market model a bit and their reseller network. So they're coming at it with a new approach that they think could be more profitable than what they'd previously been previously doing. They also have a new machine. It's a lights out manufacturing process where you can really just let it go, printing 24/7 if you want to, with minimal human input there. So there's a number of things that the company is sort of working on to scale from here. But overall, I'd say a really, really unique firm and certainly a technology that we're excited about.
Cool. So that's all Tasha has to say about Nano Dimension, but she's talking specifically about the new CEO, Yoav Stern, and honestly, like some of you guys, I try to pay attention to everything going on with Nano Dimension on the internet, and some people, frankly, are pissed off that Yoav doesn't talk more often, but he doesn't tweet every day like Elon Musk or something. But it doesn't mean that they don't have press releases. Some of you guys don't like Yoav Stern, and I understand, I get it. But this guy is trying to make the company more profitable. He's entering into the right partnerships. We've talked about different partnerships with like Hilpert and Saito and these different companies that are going to help them get into like the Swiss market or the Belgian market, right? We've talked about that kind of thing. So I think Yoav Stern is doing the right things on the back end to make sure that this company is successful in the future. Tasha specifically talked about the Dragonfly LDM, the lights out digital manufacturing system. We've talked about that a bunch, that you can essentially just put your CAD files in and it'll just do its thing with, like she said, very little human interaction. But that's exciting tech, right? That these companies are really, really liking. The other thing we talked about the other day that wasn't mentioned on this ARK webinar was this modular design. And a lot of you guys have some really good things to say about that. The new systems, it sounds like these new systems that they're working on for 2021 and 2022 will have modular designs, so you can configure these systems to do different things. And I'm really excited to find out more about that in the future. But I like that this question came up on the ARK webinar. It was really, really cool to see. And I'm glad that happened. So, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think about what Tasha had to say? Does it excite you more about Nano Dimension? That again, ARK keeps coming out and saying, look, they are unique in their space. There's a reason they're not in the 3D printing ETF. There's a reason they're in the ARK Q ETF. There's a reason Tasha Keeney is the expert on Nano Dimension and not someone else that cares about 3D printing. They see a future for Nano Dimension in the robotics field, in the autonomous technology field. You guys have to think about the potential for this company in those fields as technology catches up to the rest of the world, right? And we get more and more involved with robotics and autonomous and robo-taxis, things like that. Tasha Keeney specifically talked a lot about Tesla as well, and their robo-taxi fleet that their ARK is giving about a 30% chance of actually coming to fruition. So that's pretty cool too, but that could be a multi-billion-dollar business down the road if they can figure out the robo-taxi autonomous stuff. So very, very cool stuff. I don't know. I was excited to see Nano Dimension come up, but you guys have to let me know what you think, okay? A lot of you guys pointed out how my mediocre technical analysis was freaking spot on. Nano Dimension the other day got to $7.29. I said it would get stopped at $7.30. It's pretty good prediction, and it wasn't a guess. It wasn't a guess. I learned how to read charts over the years. I don't draw all the funky lines and all this stuff for really anything when I do technical analysis, but I promise you, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. I do a lot of swing trading and day trading on my own that we don't even talk about on this channel. I hope to talk about it more on the Patreon when we get there, because I think that'll be really fun to do, and you guys will be able to actually see me trade. But I'm going to have to trade with your stock picks. So keep that in mind. We're going to do that on Patreon. And I know a lot of you guys are telling me you're excited about that and excited to support the channel. And I have a big, hopefully big announcement I'm working on for the first quarter of next year that I think you guys are going to be really, really excited about if you like coffee. And you're not going to know a lot about it until we already have it launched. But I'm really, really excited to bring that to you as well. So, guys, I can't wait for the next year and where this journey is going to take all of us. I want to thank you guys for joining me every single day. We just hit 21,000 subscribers yesterday, and I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go the next year, but I'm excited to find out. So, thank you guys for joining me. As always, if you didn't already do it, click that beautiful red subscribe button down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.